My name is Era, and I'm the host of the Tamil Creator Podcast. I chat with creators from all over the world to share their stories and discuss hot topics in a way that I hope inspires, educates, and entertains you. I've been working really hard to deliver amazing guests and great content to you. But before we get into this week's episode, I just need your help with two things. Number one, hit that subscribe or follow button on whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on so that you're one of the first to get notified when new episodes drop in the future. Number two, go to thetamilcreator.com to take a 2-minute quiz that will tell you what kind of creator you are. I would love to hear what results you get. Your support means more than you'll ever know. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Tamil Creator. I'm your host, Era, and today I have a very interesting guest that we'll be chatting with, Rick Selvarajah. He is an MMA fighter, but he also has a business called Revival MMA and Fitness. So part MMA fighter, part entrepreneur, very interesting story. For those of you who might have kind of seen the interview on tamilculture.com, we had an article around his story maybe about a few years ago. But yeah, we're looking forward to kind of delving into Rick's story further. So Rick, introduce yourself to the people and maybe tell them how you kind of grew up, your family, things like that.
My name is Rick Selvarajah. I'm a British Tamil. My parents moved to England about 35 years ago. I've been training in MMA for over 12 years now. I've been teaching for about 10 years on like a real low scale to start with, and then a year ago opened my own place. But I find that like I'm really passionate about teaching, and I've just been training. I've been training and teaching pretty much. It's all I know from my adult life, and I'm super happy that I'm able to sort of start my own business, and it's going all right. Even with COVID and stuff, it's still going all right, and I'm just looking to grow that and still pursue my fight career.
Yeah, I mean, tell us about that. I mean, it's very unusual to kind of, I think I met like a Tamil boxer, but like MMA fighter is kind of next level. I feel like there's a different level of training and mentality required to kind of, step into the octagon. So what made you decide to be an MMA fighter? Like, tell us about kind of your path so far.
Well, I was always into martial arts from like a kid. Like I loved like Power Rangers, wrestling, all that kind of stuff. But I didn't train as a kid. I didn't train in anything, not properly. So I started university. I was always quite slim, but I started university, and I was just like going out, like drinking, eating rubbish, and I just put on a load of weight. And I was like, man, I need to lose some of this weight, because I ballooned up to like over 100 kgs. That's like 220 pounds.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, I've got to lose some weight. It's getting ridiculous now. So I was like, look, my New Year's resolution when I was 21 was I want to learn 2 martial arts. And I chose 2 because MMA had started. I'd been watching MMA, and I was like, look, I want to do maybe some boxing and some like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or something. I need to learn 2 different martial arts. So then I went to an MMA gym, and then that was it. I literally fell in love from my first class. I started training. It's just progressed since then. I never had a plan to become a fighter. It's not the reason. I literally started to lose weight, and I was really passionate about martial arts. I was so interested in it. I used to like fight with my friends in school, like just mess around, like wrestle with them, and my brother and sister as well. So I thought, let me give it a shot, and just fell in love with it. And it just progressed like month on month or year on year. It went from, well, maybe I should push myself to try a tournament. And I started really low level, like tournaments, then amateur competition, then semi-professional, after years and years. And then I turned pro. And now it's just a lifestyle. Like training for me is a lifestyle, and pushing myself to challenge myself in terms of fighting is also just is who I am, literally.
How do you go pro? Like, do you just decide to go pro, or is there like some level of kind of steps or like things you have to kind of achieve to kind of get pro status?
Technically, you can go pro when you want. It's up to the individual, but like you wouldn't just turn pro because you think, oh yeah, I could be a pro, because you just get smashed straight away. The pro level in the UK, similar to like Canada and America, it's good. So back when I turned pro, what you had to have done really was have a good few amateur and semi-pro fights. And then you'd kind of be like, okay, I'm ready to challenge myself in the pro ranks now. And you'd just pretty much, yeah, you'd turn pro. But you'd have to be aware that you're going to fight guys that are pro. So the level, there's a jump from amateur to semi-pro to professionals. There's a jump in each level. So you have to be ready.
Why did they say semi-pro? Because I guess my understanding of pros, there's money on the line versus amateur. But what's
Yeah.
like, what is semi-pro? Like, why did they have
So,
that level?
so, so back when I done it, there was three levels. There's amateur, semi-pro, and pro. And the difference between them, amateur was like tournament settings, and like you'd have maybe 4 or 5 fights in a day, but there'd be like no headshots, there'd be body shots. You'd have shin pads on and stuff like that. Semi-pro is just a step up. You wouldn't get paid, but it'd be on a show. So inside a cage, still on a show, and you'd be like the undercard of a pro show. So there'll be a few semi-pro fights first. The rule set was different, so they wouldn't allow elbows or knees to the head. You wouldn't have any extra padding, but you'd have slightly bigger gloves than the standard MMA gloves you see in like the UFC. The rounds are shorter, and there was only 2 rounds as well instead of 3. So this different rule set. It's the same thing though. Like the skill level was better than those amateurs that were doing the tournaments, but not as good as the pros. So I had like 5 semi-pro fights before I turned pro.
So how describe your first pro fight? Like, how nervous were you? Like, what's your routine like? Yeah,
Oh man, I was super nervous. Like I get, even now, I get really nervous on the day of a fight, but I don't get nervous like half an hour before I go out. So everything just changes. I don't know what it is, but literally half an hour before I'm ready to go out and make the walk, you get told like, okay, you're 10th, you get told a rough time you're going, and then you get told like, okay, you got half an hour or 45 minutes. Then someone comes back and says you got 10 minutes. So you start warming up, you hit pads and skip or whatever you need to do to get warm. When that happens to me, I zone in. But before that, I'm super nervous. So on my first pro fight, it was a big thing for me because it's like really small gloves. I was fighting a guy who was also a good guy from a good gym who was making his debut. And I was a bag of nerves. I came out and like, I don't know, the game plan didn't go to plan. I got really tired as well in that fight. I tried to finish the guy with like elbows on top. It was a bit of a crazy fight, and I won, which is good. But it was a whirlwind experience, if I'm being honest.
that's so like, I mean, my understanding of MMA like is like what I see on TV. I don't like you're probably the first person I know that is actually kind of in that. Um, I feel like it could be perceived, or maybe it is. It could be a dangerous sport in the sense that like you said, there's a jump in like talent level, aggression level, strength level, skill level. So have you ever been in a fight where you just got smashed or like really, like overpowered, or like you had like a really bad injury?
I've had a few little injuries, like in my like semi-pro fights. The worst thing that's probably happened to me through all, I've had like, oh, I couldn't even count. If you include amateur, semi-pro, and pro, like over like 30, 40 fights. Um, but in my one of my semi-pro fights, I kicked someone. At the same time I kicked him, he punched me on the nose. And even now, like I could show you on the video, but like he smashed my nose, and literally the septum in the middle smashed to the side,
Oh man.
and blood. Literally, I've never bled like that in my life. So it's in the middle of a fight. He smashed my. I just felt a real big crunch on my nose. I didn't really know what had happened. I was just carrying on fighting.
Yeah.
I ended up wrestling him and taking him down, and we're both wearing white shorts, and I can just see blood like pouring up my nose onto his shorts, onto my shorts, and I'm like, man, I got to like finish this fight because this isn't looking good for me. And there's just blood all over us. It was pretty gory. I haven't had a fight that's been that bloody since, and I ended up finishing him. I submitted him like, I think a couple of minutes after that had happened. But like even now, if I show you now, like sideways, you see my nose, it just kind of,
Oh man, that's
yeah,
crazy.
it's the septum is completely like off to the side. So
So
now the good thing is you can't actually you can't really do much damage if you punch me in the nose.
so what happened? Like you didn't get like surgery or something to fix it, or like
No,
you're
because if I was to get surgery, so I did see a doctor afterwards, and they just said, when you stop fighting, come and see us, and we will just. It's a quick surgery. They just sort of they fixed it. But then the problem is, if I get punched again, it will just happen straight away. So they said do it after you've finished competing.
okay, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
um So like I know right now you're kind of, yeah, you're an MMA fighter, but you also started this business, like you said, that you kind of pivoted to Zoom because of COVID. But how much time do you spend training as an MMA fighter because you're a professional and like focusing on the business? Or like I guess they kind of go hand in hand because
Yeah.
one kind of feeds the other.
Yeah, so with the business, I do try and spend generally a few Monday to Friday, a few hours every day, just setting stuff up, getting my guys booked in because of COVID, I have to change how I do things. So I've got like a booking system. There's a lot of stuff that goes sort of behind running a martial arts business that I'm learning and I'm doing as I go. So I'd say a good few hours, pretty much Monday to Friday, but then I spend roughly I'd say 3 hours Monday to Friday training as well. That's normally split into like 2 or 3 sessions a day, Monday to Friday, and then I try and take Saturday, Sunday off. Saturday I try and do no work and no training, so I can spend time with my family. And Sunday, sometimes I do some work to set up for the week on Monday, and I'll do like a light bit of training, like a jog or bike ride or something like very like low impact and just really chilled and easy on my body. But I have a hard week Monday to Friday.
Yeah, you know, you talked about kind of trying to take off Saturday because obviously it must be very demanding on your time and attention to be an MMA fighter and run a business. I mean, I only run a business, so I don't know the other side of, you know, the physical and mental aspect of training. So how do you balance that with kind of your personal obligations, like whether from a family perspective or just other things you want to do outside of these two things?
So the main thing that I've learned to do, because the balance is actually really tricky. I've had a really good job before within martial arts where I was getting like paid really well. Things were like going well in that sense, but then the balance had like shifted. So I was spending way too much time on work and not enough time on training, and it showed in my performances and in how I felt about where I was going. So now I'm at a really good place because I'm a lot older and a lot wiser. I balance it so that it's kind of I'm doing enough with my business to make sure that I can sort of stay afloat and run things, but I'm not pushing it to that next level that I know it can get to. And I am going to go there, but I need to dedicate more of my time now to fighting because I've got a small window. Because I'm 33 now. I've got until maximum 38. So in between 3 and 5 years, 36 to 38. And then I will retire. Like I know from other people and experienced people that your body will start changing and things won't work the way they're working for me now. I feel great now, but that's not going to be the case approaching 40. And I'm not going to do that to my family and myself at that age. So when I feel like I'm slowing down, I'll retire. But I do have some goals that I'm still like chasing. So when I'm done that and I decide to retire, I'm going to push this business fully and then be able to dedicate. And I think it's going to be a natural sort of transition, and I'm just going to push it, and things will start going really well. But the way that I deal with it now is fighting is my priority, and coaching is my passion that is helping me to survive and make sure I'm able to invest in my training properly.
Got it. So you try to generate enough money with your business to kind of pay your life expenses, but really your time and energy and what your focus is really is the fighting
Yeah,
because of the limited window.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You mentioned you had a son, so you have kids, like a kid. So how does your like son like perceive like your job or like your, you know, your passion for MMA fighting?
Yeah, so he's only he's like he's 21 months, so he's
Oh,
not
okay,
2 years.
okay.
He'll be two in 3 months.
Got it.
So he's still super young. He doesn't really know like because he
Yeah.
hasn't seen a fight like me fight yet, and he hasn't been
Yeah.
in that environment yet. I haven't fought since he's been born. So I'll be interested to see like how we because I probably will bring him even though he's a baby. I probably would want him to be at my fight. Um, so that will be interesting to see. But he knows he's seen me training and stuff, and he's actually quite into it. Like
Hmm.
he just like I have a little pair of boxing gloves for him, and he'll punch the leg and like he's into stuff like that. But yeah, I think that as he gets older, he'll appreciate it. I'm pretty sure he will.
So it's been 21 months since you last fight. Is it because you kind of were busy with obviously raising a child? I guess you wanted to kind of dedicate a bit more time to that,
Yeah,
or
there's a couple of things. A lot's happened for me in so it's actually been 3 years. It's been 36 months last month that I fought.
oh wow.
Um, what happened was, as I said, I had a good job before, but it was taking way too much of my time.
Like job in fighting or something else altogether?
I used to run like a gym, like a martial arts and fitness type gym.
Okay.
I used to run that for someone else, but I was working like, oh man, like 40 plus 50 hours a week. I was driving a lot as well, and I was training around that still. And then my last fight, which was May 3 years ago, I had a really bad injury on my hand, so I had to have two surgeries on one of my hands, which set me out for about a year. And then I found out I was going to be a dad as well, with my first child. So I wanted to like sort of relax a little bit and not have a fight. Obviously, my wife was going to be heavily pregnant, so I thought, look, I've got to get this surgery sorted. I have to have the baby, and I also bought a house all in
Okay.
that window. So it just kind of, in 2 years, I say that took 2 years, but then last year, literally January, I had decided that I was going to fight. I'm going to start training. So I've been training January, February, and then March, COVID came. So it literally just threw a spanner in the work. So it was supposed to be 2 years, um, or less, just like a year and 9 months. But then COVID happened, and it's just pushed an extra year on. It's been like a blessing and a bit of a curse, because I haven't been able to fight, but I've like balanced and sorted out my life completely differently. And like, the way I'm training now, I've never trained in my whole life, and I'm excited to see where this is gonna go.
So how does it work with, like, I know in boxing or like obviously MMA, there's like purses or prizes. So how do you, where does that money come from? Or like, does your manager kind of work on setting that up, or how does that?
Yeah, so my
Yeah.
manager will work on setting that up. I leave that to him. And what will happen is, I'll generally, with all my fights, you get a show amount, so X amount to show up to fight, and then X amount as a win bonus. So you get, like, normally it's double, or it's at least like a third extra if you win. You get, that's one way of getting income from fighting, and the second way is obviously sponsorship as well. For guys like me that fight at the pro level, sponsorship can be really good. Different companies will work with you for sponsorship. I've been sponsored by a bunch of different guys, but I'm waiting, because it's been so long since I fought. I want to get back on the scene. I want to make a statement as well, and then I'm going to be getting some sponsorships for the fight after, and I'll be working some stuff out, and planning kind of my route, because I need to have a fight to get back into things, get back. Like, there's a ranking system in the UK. I have to get like ranked again because I've been inactive for so long. I need to get back and start, like, yeah, just be on the scene again, and then things will start. It's picking up slowly.
Yeah, I mean, I saw on your Instagram that I guess you had two sponsors. I guess you have like two like ongoing long-term sponsors, or are they like older sponsors?
They're like, they're long, pretty much long term. Yeah, they've been with me for a good couple of years.
Got it. And then, just for people to kind of understand, like for these fights, like how much is a purse? Like you said, like, the to fight, like how much is a
So
purse?
in the UK, it's never going to be great, until you make it big. So like, generally speaking, I mean, the maximum I've ever got just pure purse from a fight is like 2.5 grand for a fight. So two
Okay.
and a half thousand pounds. Um, Plus you get ticket deal money on top. So if you sell, and I've always been pretty good with selling tickets. If you've got like a big, like I've got a big family, like my cousins and everything, that when all their friends come, you get commission based on that. So if you're doing that, you can earn, I don't know, 3,000, 4,000 pounds, 5,000 pounds for a fight. Um, that was kind of at the level that was at. Like, I have fought for like 150. When I first turned pro, it's for 150 pounds. So the level, the higher up the level you fight, the more money you get. But that's me getting money at the top level in the UK. So guys at the top level will get kind of that, and then you go like European and world level, and then the money just grows massively. Like, I know guys similar level to me, but on big shows are making sort of 15 plus thousand pounds, 20,000 pounds to fight. And obviously, you'll know, like UFC and Bellator money is serious money after that. Like, it's, you can earn a lot, hundreds of thousands of pounds, but you have to progress and you have to win fights to do that.
So I guess it's like you really got to pay your dues and kind of show that you can kind of deliver to kind of get to like that Conor McGregor kind of level, right?
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? A lot of guys will tell you this. A lot of fighters will tell you this. Some obviously it does. Money is like the main reason that they do it. Like that's just the facts. And to all fighters, the money's going to help, but the money isn't the reason that I do it. And a lot of fighters that I know as well, they're not. If money's what you're after, this is kind of the wrong game for you, because it's a brutal sport that you're going to sacrifice your life for, and you're going to get very little in terms of money to start with. And for a long time, it's not like, oh, for a few months you get no money. It's years you get no money. You have to progress after. It can be a decade before you make some serious money. So if money's your main goal and route for MMA, it's not really the sport for you. I do one that's much less stressful on the body and the mind to try and get some money. But having said that, money is a factor and it does help, and it is something that's needed. But I'm fighting for completely different reasons.
So what's your why for doing this?
So there's just a really good question. Like, I think the older I am, I've realized a lot about myself, and I've come to the complete agreement that I've questioned myself literally, like, why am I doing this? Why? Because it's difficult. Like, fighters don't really talk about it enough because they know that no one else can understand it outside of their circle. Like, a fighter might talk to another fighter about it, but that's quite rare anyway. But they won't talk to like their wife or their parents or their like brothers and sisters about it, because it's just a difficult life. It's a life full of like, it's a roller coaster. Like, the highs are so high, but then the lows are so low at the same time. And the training, as much as like I love training, I love getting better, but some days like break me, and like you get beaten up by people that are like less experienced than you, or your body's like giving up, and there's a whole like host of different emotions. Um, so you got to figure out a lot about yourself. But I've come to the conclusion, the reason that I do this is purely, I genuinely believe it's what I was put on this earth to do. And I want to make myself proud to what I can achieve. Like, I've put in so much hard work, and I'm going to keep on putting that hard work. And I want to have like the legacy that I tried and I didn't fall at a hurdle. I kept on persevering at something that I like and I'm passionate about. And I'll keep fighting, one, until age stops me, or two, until I stop enjoying it. But the truth is, I love the feeling of being in there, the feeling of training, the lifestyle that comes with being a fighter, how dedicated you have to be, how disciplined. It's something that I like, and that I want to kind of instill even in my son. Like, I want him to have that hard work over everything mindset. I think that's so important for a guy to have.
You're almost like a modern day Spartan, like, the Spartans
Literally,
kind
man.
of, yeah,
I just feel like
yeah,
it's who I am. It's
yeah,
literally it's come to the stage where martial arts is who I am. I'm
yeah,
not a violent person by any means. I
yeah.
know you might think that, or a lot of people listening to this might be like, but you fight in a cage, this, that, the other. I've heard so much about like the mindset of a fighter, but the truth is, it's like fighting someone is a proving ground to like to kind of determine who's got the better skill set. It's not about inflicting pain on another person. It's two martial artists trying to better each other and be the best, and we're going to see who wins and who loses. That's how I feel it is.
No, I mean, I don't, because like, I guess if you play sports, I mean, it's not the exact same as MMA, but when I play sports, like I play basketball, when you're on the court, I have a different persona. Like, I'm highly competitive. If you only knew me on the court, you might think, oh, this guy's maybe an asshole or whatever it is.
Yeah,
But if you know me off the court, it's like, oh, he's completely different. Like, people that know me off the court or on the court, it's like two different personas. So
exactly,
I
exactly.
imagine it's the same for you as well. Like, you have a mentality or something like while you're in the ring, but outside the ring, you're a dad, you're a business owner, like you have different.
Yeah, I'm just a normal guy, man. I'm just a
Yeah.
normal guy. Until that cage door shuts, then it's a little bit different.
That's awesome. We spent a lot of time on like your MMA side. So tell us now on your kind of, the other side of what you're building, and it'll probably be more of your long-term plan as you physically or mentally don't no longer want to be an MMA fighter. So tell us about Revival MMA and Fitness, and like how you started the business, how it's going, and yeah.
So yeah, I started the business September of last year, so it's like midway through COVID. Um, I started it really to just like imprint my martial arts knowledge onto my own students. I wanted to have my own student base. I started like training a lot of guys on sort of like a one-to-one basis, and I started finding that they were having real great improvements from training with me. And I've always liked that, how that feels, like getting someone better, whether it be like losing weight or just learning martial arts as a new skill. I've kind of got like, I'm just passionate about that. It's something that's grown in me over years. Then I decided to like open a business and do it properly. And it's been going amazing. Like, shout out to all my students. They really do like, just, oh man, it's just good to know that I said to you before, like -2 degrees in a park in December in the snow, they're outside training, like, yeah, on Zoom, which is not ideal. Like, I teach them on Zoom because we can't be in person because of the COVID restrictions, but it's not ideal. But I have like regular Zoom classes. Like I had like, I'm pretty sure it's like eight to 10 a week Zoom classes where students were turning up, kids were turning up, adults, everything, just working out, chilling out, and training still. So yeah, it's been good. It's been good, and I'm excited that like stuff's starting to open up again. And I'm just, yeah, I'm looking forward to Revival just making that push to be how it was, because September and October were really good months, and it was real busy for me. And then obviously December in the UK we had like a full lockdown, so I had to pretty much shut everything. But online stuff was going really well, and I'm looking forward now. We're transitioning off online back into like in person in the next month and stuff. So I'm looking forward to all that happening and resuming normal sessions again.
How did you go about finding your like initial group of students? Like, how do people find out about your business or like about Revival?
So like because I've been doing it for yeah, like 12 years. So I'm pretty, like, I've got good contacts within like the martial arts industry, and people that know me. Like, if you want to have a good martial arts gym and kind of any business, um how you treat people is going to make a massive impact on if people come to you. And my business is good in the sense that, like, you could come to train with me, but you get a good experience, and you could tell your wife, or you could tell your cousin, or you could tell like your friends, and then they come, and they're going to come off the back of your recommendation, so they know it has to be decent because they trust in your opinion. That's kind of how I get most of my students, is off word of mouth from what like one of them said to me, said to the other person, sorry, and then they came down. And that's how it's happened. I know a lot of people in the areas that I've sort of moved around in and trained in, and it's just grown. It went from like a few students, and they've told their friends, and then more people have come down, and then like the mum has told her child's friend's mum, and then they brought their child down, and all like different ways. But it's been, I feel like I'm super blessed to have the students that I do, and everyone's really nice, and they get on, and it's exactly how I want my business to be. I want it to be like an MMA gym, but like a family focused MMA gym where people get on and we do stuff as a unit together. And I was talking to them actually recently. We're going to plan like a summer barbecue and a park day as well. So like, I want to keep that close touch with all my students.
What is like, an insecurity of yours that you might have maybe around either being an entrepreneur or a fighter? Like, what's an insecurity that you have?
So in terms of being a fighter, the honest truth is, because I've lost before, the honest truth is I don't have one with regards to losing. Like, you can beat me or whatever, but I'm still going to keep going. I'm still going to keep fighting, and I'm still going to keep progressing. In life, like, I've learned over especially the last, like, I don't know, like 5 6 years, like I think I've grown up a lot. Doing things like having a child and owning a house and stuff, that kind of stuff makes you, I think, like, grow real quick, especially having a child. But I don't want to. One thing that I'm insecure about is failing so much that it affects my son, or the way that my son will look at me and be like, "Dad, but you done this." So like, what should I do when I'm your age and stuff like that? I want to set a good example, and I'm insecure about setting a bad example without realizing it, like making mistakes, kind of with just like without realizing I'm making a mistake, and then that sort of affecting my son's life in any way. I want to be a good role model to him. I want to be a good, like, make him follow a good example. So I'm cautious about that with stuff. But I've also learned through life and like my age and stuff that life is not going to be like smooth sailing. It's going to be up and down. So I got to go with the flow as much as I can.
That's a good answer. I'm always curious about that. I guess being a parent can kind of change your perspective.
100%.
What do you like to do for fun outside of being an MMA fighter and running a business?
So honestly, a lot of my time is taken up by training, and I do find training fun as well. Like I do enjoy my training, but my favorite thing to do outside of that is going out on like just trips with my wife and my child. Like we go out to random places, zoos, and like to see him interact with animals is the funniest thing. um, Family stuff, I'm really focused around family. I've got a lot of cousins. My parents have like loads of siblings each, and I've got too many cousins to like even count. So I do stuff with them, just going out, having like nice food. That's one thing I miss about the lockdown. I love trying different food. I'm a big food fan. So I'm looking forward to being able to do that in about a month or so. By just chilling out with family, really, nothing exciting. Like I train a lot, and then in my free time, I just chill with family and try and do activities and stuff with them. I'm a very outdoor person, so I like cycling, running, just being outdoors, and like anything thrill seeking. I am there. I'm a bit of like an adrenaline junkie. Like I do like some crazy stuff. Like I've skydived before and stuff like that. So yeah, I like just stuff like that.
I'm terrified of heights, so never gonna skydive.
I'm,
But
I'm,
yeah.
I'm not scared of heights, but like when I was on that plane, I was pretty scared. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and I can definitely feel you like around you just made that comment about your son interacting with animals. I'm a big animal guy, so I'm really looking forward to like my kids kind of going to the zoo. Just I guess as a parent, you kind of look forward to your kids' first many things, like go to the
Yeah,
zoo
yeah,
or their
yeah,
first. Um Another, I guess, topic to kind of delve into, and I know you kind of touched on it earlier. I'm curious about the topic of money, and the reason I bring it up is I feel like it's a very taboo subject that not a lot of people talk about, especially in the Tamil community. So, how do you
yeah,
view money? You know, do you have like an investing strategy or like what you plan to do with money? Yeah, I'm just curious about your just
yeah.
general take on it.
So like I've grown up in an industry where we ask people for money. So like I've learned you can't, like, I completely get what you're saying. Like money's considered almost like a dirty word. Like it's a taboo. You don't really talk about it, and it can be a bit weird for some people, but not for me. I ask people for money, and money makes the world go around. There's a I don't even know where I read it originally, but a really good saying that I think is really important, and it's money isn't everything until it becomes everything. So
That's good, yeah.
like I've had like loads of money, and I've been able to buy stuff that I want, but then I've been in positions where even buying food, I've been like, oh, I can't really get that because that costs a bit too much. I've seen it all at an adult like age as well, because the pandemic has completely changed my finances. So money is important, but I think earning money is important so that you can have time. I think time is the most important thing that you can have in life. But I think you have to earn money so that you can spend the time doing the things that you want to do. I think money is super important. I'm not a people who say like money isn't important in life. I don't agree with that. And some people say money isn't the most important thing. I don't think it is. I think time is the most important thing, but money is up there for me. Um, like it's not like I'm on this quest to be super rich. I'm not. I want to be like decently well off so that I can have my son can have a good life and we can have a good like family life, go on holidays, do that kind of stuff. But money is important, and to anyone who thinks that it isn't, it's like maybe you haven't been in a position where like you need to buy something for your child and you can't afford it or anything like that. And I just want to work hard to make sure that I'm never in a position where my son's at a disadvantage where he hasn't got the stuff that I want him to have, and like he hasn't got the life. Like I don't want him to be like spoiled or anything like that, but I don't want him to go without as well. So I want him to
Mm.
have certain things in life. Um, so I'll keep working hard to make sure that my money's good. In terms of investment, one thing that I've done over the last 10 years, and it's paying me back well now, but I think like if I could go back and tell my older self do it more, I would do it more, because I've spent a lot of money on stuff that is like I've wasted, like cars and all this other randomness. Um, I would say invest your money and your time on in yourself. There's nothing more important than investing money and time into yourself. So growing your own skill set, whatever it is, not just from a martial arts perspective, but learn things, learn like as much as you can, like be a sponge, absorb whatever you can in life, because you're like, that's going to be the best for you in the future. I say that because I coach quite a lot of younger guys, in terms of like they're like in their late teens slash early adults, like the 19, 20, 21. And I tell them the same thing, like look out for yourself, put that money or time or investment into yourself, because later it's gonna pay you back. And that's what's kind of happening to me. Like I'm like, I can get students, and students know my coaching ability, because I've done it for over a decade. I have been literally grinding it out, working hard, just learning stuff. Now that, because it's been 10 years, someone of my age doesn't have that kind of experience, because I've just been doing it like every day, day in, day out. You'd have to be like 10 years older than me to have it. So I feel like I'm at a good position. I've invested a lot of time and effort into my own skill set, and it's starting to repay me now with my business. And I know in the future it's gonna repay me for the rest of my life.
I'm really glad you said that answer because I'm a big proponent of kind of long-term thinking. There's a saying around people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in a decade. And I think
Yeah,
you just kind of nailed it, where I think it's human nature. I mean, I used to be like that when I was younger, but I think I've just had a more long-term approach where whatever you think you can do in a year, you're not going to do it. But if you think or plan for 10 years, it's amazing. Like there's things the life I'm living today is a result of decisions I made 10 years ago. And I'm seeing
yeah.
that now. So I fully agree with what you said. Um,
Yeah, there's I don't know if you know, there's a Canadian guy, Jordan Peterson. Like he
yes.
talks about that. He talks about like the simplicity of doing something like making your bed, and you don't realize that that has a knock-on effect. But I believe that as well. It's like little things. Do the little things correctly,
Mhm.
do them right, because they have a snowball effect, and it doesn't take 1 year for you to see. It takes 5 years or 10 years or 15 years for you to reap the rewards of the seeds that you sown like so many years ago. And that I have been doing that. I've done little things, and I think you should do little things correctly, so that the big things kind of start happening for you, and you're at a good position to receive them, because you've laid the right foundations with the little stuff. I think that's super important.
Yeah, I believe in it's like for me, it's just really picking things that are unconsciously they're supposed to be easy to do. So like whether it's like just eating well or just improving how you eat over like years. Like how I used
Yeah,
to eat 10 years ago, now I eat much better because I have to. I'm older. I have kids that I want to be physically able to kind of do things with.
yeah, yeah,
Even like from a money perspective, like I used to be really bad with money, but then I would say like starting like 5, 6 years ago, I got much better. And slow investments that I've made 5, 6 years ago, the compound effect is real, not just on money, but on like your skill level.
yeah,
Even like I've been running a business for 10 years. First 5 years of being an entrepreneur, I was horrible. I didn't know what I was doing. But like I've done small things like you talked about on Saturday or Sunday, you plan for the week. It's such a small thing, but like every Sunday, Sunday evening, I spend about 2, 3 hours just planning my week out. Like what's my calendar look like? Should I reschedule anything? And it
yeah,
really helps my week go by because I'm not like waking up on Monday, like, what am I doing? I know exactly what I'm doing. It's such a
yeah,
small thing, but it's huge, huge return. So yeah,
that's I think, yeah, I agree with that completely.
I love that. Yeah, and you seem like you're like like a lifelong learner, but you know, is there like a book or like a podcast or just something where you kind of get knowledge from, or like how you kind of make yourself a better learner?
So with books, I don't read. I used to read more books when I was younger. The thing is, my time is really, really like pushed now. I'm super busy. Monday to Friday, I'm super busy, and then even Saturday, Sunday, family time, I'm busy. So I don't have that much time to read books. The last book I read was the Analects by Confucius, which was a pretty good book. But I am well in, because I do a lot of driving. I do like in between 10 and 15 hours of driving a week because I go to all different places to train. So I listen to a lot of podcasts because I just literally whack it on my car, and it's just playing as I drive. And I do a lot of motorway driving as well. So you're literally just sitting there, don't have to turn or anything, you just listen. So I'm like, my favorite podcast by far is the Joe Rogan podcast. And there's a few guys on that I take a lot of like just advice from and ways to like be better from. And so I mentioned him earlier, Jordan Peterson. He's one that I really highly rate, and I think the way that he approaches life is just really, really smart. And I think that listening to him, you can pick up some great knowledge. But just Joe Rogan general stuff that he talks about is pretty mind-blowing. Some stuff I've learned so much. He done a podcast with Neil deGrasse Tyson as well. He done a few of them, I think 2 or maybe 3. But like, for me, I had some mind-blowing moments, like the way I knew that because I've done geography, I knew that the country, we all existed as one country, and it's split up over however many millions of years. But just even how like the human species we're all different, and the lands were connected, and people were walking across from like even in like India to Sri Lanka, like the way that was separated, and people were left in Sri Lanka and left in India, and just little things that like I didn't really know, and that makes sense completely. I've learned through that, and it's listening to some podcast stuff. What I do is when I get a bit of a mind-blowing moment, I'll take the time out and I'll start reading about it. I'll go on Google, or I'll just like speak to people, or watch another podcast about a topic to just expand on that idea. And I think for me, it's been a bit mind-blowing, just learning stuff online. I think online learning and like YouTube mainly, I use YouTube for a lot of stuff, from this kind of stuff, podcasts and whatnot, to like building like cabinets and um, just stuff that I've done in my house. I've done a lot of stuff myself, especially over lockdown, which I never thought I'd be able to do, literally just off the back of YouTube. It saved me money, and not just money, but time. And I appreciate so much more the smaller things. Like I bought an IKEA, you have IKEA in Canada, right?
Yep.
So I bought a massive IKEA cupboard when I was before I got married. And I paid a guy, I think like 150 or 200 pounds to fix it. And from looking at it, I was like, there's no way I can do this. There's no way. Then I went on YouTube, and literally like I seen guys do it, and I was like, oh man, they're doing it, and they're explaining how to do it as well. Then when I moved into the house that I'm in now, I couldn't move the cupboard because it was too big, and the ceiling height and stuff was different. So I ordered pretty much the exact same cupboard, but it was about a foot less high, so it would fit in my house that I'm in. And went on YouTube literally and just fixed it. It took me ages. It took me and 2 of my friends like literally more than 24 hours. They stayed here until about 7 in the morning. But we completed it, and it looks the same as the one that I have. It's complicated. It's got lights and all this craziness in it. It's a huge like wall cupboard. And it's just, I think YouTube, and like you can learn a lot from using social media, or like mainly for me YouTube. I don't use the other social media to learn too much, but I think YouTube's a big one for me for learning stuff.
I applaud you for doing that. I would have gave up after an hour and called the handy guy. So I applaud you for sticking with it. Um, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? Like where does Rick see himself? Yeah.
So I've given myself 36 to 38 latest to retire. I've got a lot of goals that I want to achieve in that time. And then after I'm done with fighting, I think in natural progression, I'm going to just focus a little bit more on coaching, build Revival up, and start in 5 years, I'd say, not 3, 5 years, I want to have a pretty big functioning gym where guys can come down and just better themselves. And like I want a good environment with real skills being taught, where I can impart my knowledge onto my students.
What's been the impact of the UK Tamil community on like yourself and your business?
So in terms of business, it like from because I've worked in this kind of industry for around 10 years. So it's always good because I get a lot of Tamil students through the door. I actually worked in a predominantly Tamil area where I used to live, and I'd get a lot of Tamils, and obviously they'd hear that there's a Tamil teaching, just like on the grapevine, they'd hear, oh, there's a Tamil teaching in this place, you should take your child there, whatever. And I had a lot of Tamil students, like too many to count at one point. Like I've had, I'd say over 100 easily Tamil like young kids as well that I've taught over the years. And it's good. It's good that like there's a sense of community in some areas, and Tamils feel comfortable when they see someone like me. Because I have had a lot of, even like yourself, like you've never really known an MMA fighter, but to know a Tamil MMA fighter is really rare. I don't actually know any. I know there's another one guy that does some MMA, but I don't. He doesn't fight professionally. I don't think there's many. And I would like there to be more, and I hope the younger generation there will be more, because for me it's a great way to make a living if you're going to dedicate to it. But yeah, I think the Tamil community is always good. It's quite closely connected. And the guys in the UK, the Tamils in the UK, see the UK as their home as well. So it's nice that we can have the Tamil shops, the Tamil food, all local, with Tamil businesses doing well as well. I think it's important.
Who is somebody from the global Tamil community, or just anywhere? You could even be the UK, but anywhere that you kind of admire and why? And maybe who's one person that isn't Tamil that you admire and why?
So that's a pretty hard question for me. The Tamil that I admire the most was my grandfather. He passed away a good few years ago, but he was a Tamil that he achieved a lot in his life, and just as a person, he was really like just captivating. Like I loved spending time with him. I loved speaking to him about just his life. Like he passed away when he was in his early 90s, so he had a whole rich life to be explaining to me. And I tried to spend as much time with him as I could. And yeah, he's not around. He was not around to see my son and stuff like that, so it was a little bit of a gutter for me. But yeah, he's someone that I really did admire as a person. And non-Tamils that I admire, there isn't like one that I super admire and look up to. There are a few though, and I would say really the coaches and people that I train with at my main gym, I get inspired by them pretty much at least a couple of times a week, because things will happen. Like I'll finish a training session, I'll be leaving, and there'll be like a 17-year-old kid that trains with me that's like an amateur aspiring MMA fighter, and we've just done 2-3 hours of hard training. I look up because there's a floor, a mezzanine floor that it's like open so you can see, and there's like 20 treadmills on there, and he'll literally be running. He's jogging after 3 hours of training. He's jogging because he's literally trying to pursue his dreams. I've got like guys in the UFC, guys that are world champions training with me, and I see the dedication that they have, and that inspires me to be even more dedicated and even more hardworking than I am. For me, on a daily basis, I see guys like that, and I admire that, and that motivates me massively.
That's amazing. I think that's like, I think it kind of relates back to a comment you said where I think it's kind of like entrepreneurship, but if you're an MMA fighter, unless you're in that lifestyle, it's very hard for you to understand or empathize with kind of what you're going through. So
Mm,
it makes sense that you're motivated or inspired, just like they're probably inspired by you as well, and you don't
mm,
know it. Um, what's a piece of advice that you would give? So the name of the podcast is A Tamil Creator, and I chose the name creator because I feel like a creator is more open-ended. Like most people think entrepreneurs, but I feel like what you're doing as an MMA fighter, you're creating inspiration almost, or
mm.
like somebody that's doing nonprofit or whatever it is. So that's kind of why I wanted to kind of really share your story. So what's of a piece of advice that you would give to aspiring or your fellow Tamil creators?
I would say kind of it touches on what we spoke about before. Um, do the little things right. Like that's something in life that like it's a skill that I'm gonna be passing on to my son, and making sure I like instill that in him. Do the little things right, because the big things come from a snowball effect years down the line. Um, that's one thing that's super important. And next, I don't think there's many people that can say this like as much as me, because being from a Tamil background, it's very difficult to tell your parents, especially back then. MMA wasn't big when I started. It's massive now. 10 years ago, it wasn't massive at all. Like, it was really unheard of. And to tell your Tamil parents that you're going to do that, I'd say just find something that you're passionate about and run with it and really put your effort into it. Don't be like, try and find random things that you want to be passionate about. Put some effort into finding what actually gets you going. What can you be passionate about? But once you know, and in your heart you'll know whether it's that or not, then it doesn't matter what anyone says. Anyone, it could be family, whoever, it doesn't matter. If you in your heart know you're passionate about this this thing, then make your life revolve around it. And I think you'll live, like, I do live a happy life. As hard as it is, with, like, I've dealt with losses, like financial issues, because I've pursued fighting, injuries, whatever, like all of that is not even, I can't even explain to you where that is, and where the happiness that I'm doing what I'm passionate about through fighting, through training people, like, it doesn't compare. So I would say find your passion and work on it and do the little things right, and you're going to end up super in just a wicked position later on in life. I can guarantee it, if you find your passion and work on it.
Love it. That kind of concludes the serious part of our discussion for today. So now we're kind of getting into a bit more, I think it's been fun throughout, but a fun game that I call Would You Rather. And how it works is I'll say two different things, and you're just going to pick one, and you're going to tell me quickly why. Um, so the first one, I made it a bit different for you, but I love asking this question: mutton rolls, or for you specifically, mutton kotroti?
Martin Kothari.
I know you love your mutton kotroti. So, uh,
Yeah, yeah.
um, this is a more casual one, but like beard or no beard?
I like the beard, but sometimes I get sick of the beard. Like, I'm in a position now where I'm gonna shave it off. So I would say beard if I'm gonna have to pick.
I got it. Um, tea or coffee? I like to
Tea.
ask all my tea, eh? Why tea?
I don't drink coffee at all, never have, and I don't really drink tea either. Very rarely do I drink tea, but if I had to choose, I'd pick tea. I can't drink coffee. I just, something about the taste I just don't like.
Okay. Would you rather be Conor McGregor or Anderson the Spider Silva?
Anderson Silva all day long. He's the reason I started MMA.
Really? Okay. So like, oh, it's just like what captivated you specifically about him?
His fights against Ridge Franklin, literally one of the reasons. He just, yeah, he captivated my mind, and he made me want to pursue it, because I was in awe. I was literally in awe at watching him, and I try, like, even I try to do fight moves like him. Like, yeah, he's someone that's inspired me massively in MMA.
Would you rather be a world-renowned MMA fighter or world-renowned entrepreneur?
Oh, that's a hard one. Um, MMA fighter right now.
Okay. And final question is, would you rather be wealthy and anonymous or famous and poor?
Wealthy and anonymous for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thanks for kind of answering, the questions and kind of doing the fun round. Like I said, I was, I've heard about your story for a while. We did the TC article, and I was really excited to kind of get you on here and have that conversation. I think people are going to get a lot of this, whether they're into the MMA or not. I think kind of a lot of things you talked about in terms of learnings, and I think that simple thing of long-term thinking and just doing the small things right. I think that people really resonate with that. If somebody wants to connect with you that's listening, whether they want to get training with you or just pick your brain, or they're just motivated by you or inspired by you, just like you were inspired by, Anderson Silva. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Best way to get hold of me is on my Instagram. It's just Rick Selvarajah, or Selvarajah MMA, or Revival MMA. Either one of those, I reply real quick on Instagram. I've got Facebook as well, but I probably use Instagram the most of the two. Yeah, that's the best way to get hold of me.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Rick, for kind of hopping on. Before we jump off, for any of you listening, please give this podcast a 5 out of 5 stars. It really helps increase our visibility on whatever you're listening to. So Spotify, Apple, or Google. Please comment, share, and like our stuff on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Really helps get the word out to our growing audience. And if you have any feedback or ideas on either future guests or topics, reach out to me at hello@thetalmudcreator.com. So thanks again, Rick, for hopping on and inspiring hopefully that next generation of MMA fighters in the Tamil community. So we'll look forward to maybe connecting with you in the future after your next fight.
Wicked, man. No worries. Thanks for having me.